it's crazy because I wanted to do this video on my phone, but I was like, I'm gonna just do it on my PS5. What is going on YouTube? It is your boy J Mid. You know what I'm saying? We back in the video today. Global Emotional 2025. And look, man, I got things I want to get off my chest about, the Steelers, because I'm seeing on Twitter way too many lies from so-called Steeler fans, right? I'm seeing people acting like bro, like the Steelers are gonna be okay. They're fine and they're gonna be good. And it's like, explain to me how. Because if you ask me, Steelers fans should be worried. You should be very concerned. And I'm gonna explain to you guys why. Let's look at, it's not even the fact that they traded their best offensive player. And I know you guys are going to keep saying, like, bro, they traded him, it's over with, get over it. It's not even about that, right? It's about what are you doing, right? Because every year, as far as I'm concerned, they rely on their defense to win them games. And we are in 2025, right? We're in 2025. A lot has changed, right? This isn't 2008, 2007, 2005, where, we had the Dick LeBeau defense, elite #1 defense category. You had the Troy Polamalu's, the James Harrisons, all types of, players on your team, on your defense side of the football. That stuff is gone, right? And to me, like I told you on my last video, I don't like the Steelers' way, because the Steelers' way, like people keep saying, like, bro, y'all got Will Howard, he could be that guy. Let me ask you a question. You're correct. There are things there with Will Howard. He could be that guy. But is Will Howard going to be allowed to do certain things? The reason why I bring this up, right? You guys might be looking at it like, why wouldn't he be able to? I look at the fact that when the Steelers got Justin Fields, right? Y'all remember that. I mean, y'all even remember a reaction I had when the Steelers traded for Justin Fields. I was very excited, very happy, because there's talent there, just wasn't consistent, right? But, there was some point a couple of times to where Justin Fields last year had some really good throws, right, on the money. And for some reason, I don't know if it was Arthur Smith or Mike Tomlin, this the coaching in general, said, hey, as we see you able to make these throws, but we want you to just hand the ball off to Najee Harris, right? And it's like they wanted to play. Yes, they had a tough schedule, but it's like they wanted the offense to be conservative because they so-called had the highest paid defense. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of Steelers fans hear that almost every single year about, bro, you got the highest paid defense. And what happens in the postseason? They get 30 put on them, right? And see, that's why I feel like a lot of people, you don't watch the full games. Because if you watch the full games, you would realize, well, bro, why is the defense getting so many points put on them? Like, why is the defense giving up these big plays, these big yard chunk plays? It's because they're on the football field way too long, because you're not getting any balance from the offensive side of the football. You know who brought, somewhat, excitement to the offense? It was obviously George Pickens. You trade for DK Metcalf, right? So now you're thinking, okay, a lot of Steelers should be very excited because you can't double George Pickens anymore because you now have another threat by adding DK Metcalf. Going into the draft, which I could have sworn they were going to draft the receiver, they said, nah, we're not taking no receivers. We good. We're going to go defense mainly, go D-line, because they feel in the playoff game against Baltimore, Derrick Henry embarrassed him. But I look at the fact that it wasn't even just Derrick Henry. Isaiah Likely did it too, right? My whole point is Baltimore has offense. The Steelers did it, right? And then we look at the fact that after the draft, you signed a 33-year-old Robert Woods. So people are looking at that like, okay, maybe just in there for veteran leadership, to, I guess, be another voice in the locker room or something like that. Then you make a deal getting rid of one of your best offensive players, right? Now, yes, obviously it's a contract year for that guy, but I look at the fact that what is your plan? Because going 9-8, getting blown out in the first round shouldn't be your plan. That's why I keep saying they need a losing season. That's the only way changes are going to be made, is if they have a losing season. As much as it pains me to say it, changes need to be made, right? I just seen a comment on Instagram, and I definitely agree with it. The Steelers coaching is outdated. It is. It is. It's like they see something that can work. You see something like there could be something with Will Howard, but is the coaching going to allow him to? Now you guys are going to bring up the fact that, well, the reason why they did that is because Justin Fields at Chicago, right? He led the league, he led the team in turnovers. You're correct, right? That doesn't mean he doesn't have talent, right? Why do you think the Jets just paid him? There's something there, right? But for some reason, it's like the Steelers have these players on a leash. They don't let them just play. It's like they can only do certain things, right? Like Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson didn't get along because Arthur Smith would call certain plays and Russ would like, nah, I'm gonna check out of that. We're gonna run something else. Arthur Smith didn't like that. So I look at the fact that Will Howard, if Will Howard is, a franchise caliber quarterback, which is as right, he's a project, right? Is the coaching going to allow him to showcase that? Or are they going to have him on a leash and he's conservative and we don't know? Because if you ask me, Will Howard, let him compete. He's a 6th-round pick. If he's not the guy, it's a 6th-round pick. You see what I'm saying? But my thing is, don't just, if you see something there, oh, he's not going to, he's a rookie. We don't want to rush him out. You have no quarterback as of right now. Mason Rudolph can play football, but he's not your franchise guy, obviously. Aaron Rodgers, at this point, nobody cares anymore. You see what I'm saying? It's like he's playing games. Nobody cares. That's what I'm at the point where I'm like, bro. And like I said, Omar Khan reported that George Pickens did not request a trade. So a lot of y'all saying that he didn't want to be in Pittsburgh, that's a lie. That's a lie. How do you know if what he wanted to do? How do you know? Honestly, how do you know? Because like I said, I feel like George Pickens was split Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I'm just looking at it like that because I look at how the Chiefs run their offense, and I feel like GP wants to be a part of that. You see what I'm saying? Because it's being reported that he's not even looking for a contract right now. He just wants to show and prove that he can be that receiver. And if he ends up on the Chiefs after this year, I mean, it could be very scary for the NFL. Because you won't be seeing any so-called character issues on that team because he's going to be getting the football. You know what I'm saying? So as of right now, if you are a Steelers fan, you should be very concerned because you have no offense still. You're hoping of Roman Wilson, who played 2 snaps, really, who didn't really play his entire rookie year, and it was being reported that he didn't understand the playbook, so that's another thing that's concerning, right? That was being reported, right? He didn't fully get the playbook done. That's why they didn't want to play him. And a 33 Robert Woods. Y'all probably going to put Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin's not your number 2, okay? We just call it what it is. He's not. Calvin Austin can make some plays. I mean, we saw it. I mean, just like I said, when they had Justin Fields and he was making some of these plays, like targeting Calvin Austin, crossing the middle of the field, and Calvin Austin taking it to the house, right? All of these plays. We played Denver, long ball to GP, right? We see those things, but we got to play conservative football. So, like I said, I'm over it. You know what I'm saying? I'm over it. I'm tired of some of y'all just acting like we're okay, and they're really not. And I hate to say we because, like I said, right now, I don't even like the Steelers right now. They piss me off so much to where I don't even want to say we. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the things that they're doing, it's like you're looking at it like it looks like you're trying to tank. Honestly, I told you before, when you trade one of your best players on offense or defense, that tells me your direction is you want to tank. But obviously, they're going to say they didn't want to do that because they traded for DK Metcalf. But like I said before in my last video, if you guys watch football, you guys know DK Metcalf and George Pickens are very similar. So if DK Metcalf, let's say, and again, I'm just giving it, this is just obviously my opinion. I feel like DK is going to get doubled this year a lot because teams are not going to fear Roman Wilson or 33 Robert Woods. And if he's getting double teamed, if the offense ain't going nowhere, you're going to see his frustrations. And they just paid him. So I'm looking at it like, what was the point of getting rid of a 24-year-old and you paid a 27-year-old who has similar issues? It just doesn't, I'm not understanding the direction you're trying to go here. Don't tell me you moved on because of character issues. Don't tell me that because DK Metcalf got the similar issues, and you're probably like us. You're probably going to see those issues when the season starts. Um, and I really feel like Arthur Smith is a bad fit for the Steelers as well. They only got him because the owners want they want to go back to this running physical style of football. But I mean, like I said, it's 2025. You know, a lot has changed. But that's all. I really just want to give how I feel about why, in my opinion, I'm seeing a lot of Steelers fans acting like everything's okay and they're gonna be good, and I just fully disagree. I'm strictly being straight up, bro. I'm being honest. I don't think they're going to do anything that's going to be, shock people because the things that they chose to do, it doesn't put the team in a good spot, in my opinion. Okay, it doesn't. Like I asked my homeboy yesterday, I said if the Steelers had a franchise quarterback, would they would have traded George Pickens? He said no, of course not. Exactly my point. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody thinks he was going to be gone. If the Steelers had a franchise quarterback, not only would George Pickens still be on the team, he would have had a new contract by now because he would have had great seasons. That's why like what Kenny Pickett did. It really pissed me off. Is because he just gave up. He had a struggling rookie year, and instead of him trying to go get and improve, he asked to leave. That's somebody who didn't want to be there. Kenny Pickett asked for a trade. He didn't want to be there. But I'm still seeing a lot of Steelers fans saying, "Oh man, he won a Super Bowl on the bench." Kenny chose to leave the Steelers. He wanted to leave. Instead of him going to get better, he wanted out. And not to mention, we had Matt Canada for what, 3 to 4 years? We got all of that stuff. Change is going to be made, bro. Whether it's a whole new coaching staff, listen, changes need to be made. Okay? It's plain and simple. I mean, if you can't be one and done you can't just keep having that one and done. Oh, well, they made the playoffs at least. Like, no, that's not the standard. That should never be the standard of what the Steelers did make it to the playoffs. That shouldn't be the standard. It shouldn't be. Just getting to the playoffs and then getting blown out, embarrassed on national television. And then your fans have to find ways to give lies and explain how, man, they gonna be good. Knowing damn well they not gonna be good. No one, that's what I'm saying. You should be concerned. You really should be. But other than that, I'm gonna get to this next video I gotta make. So I want to give my thoughts on that real quick. Yeah. Other than that, I don't got really much else to add, y'all. Like I said, I feel like it's one of the worst trades in the Steelers history and NFL history because you didn't have a replacement. Point blank period. You didn't have a replacement. And your reasons of making the deal, it's not really a reason. Because the person you just signed a major deal to is the older version of that, pretty much. He is. DK Metcalf is an older version of George Pickens. George Pickens is a younger version of DK Metcalf. I mean, you really could say George Pickens is George Pickens, but y'all get what I mean. They have the similar issues, is why I compared the two. They have the similar issues of they can get in their own head during the games, right? They get they show their frustration on the field, right? They have temper. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, everybody has that, but I'm just saying on the field, right? We seen these things. But that's all pretty much else I got to say, y'all. I mean, I just have me personally, like I said, I would look to trade TJ Watt, Mika Fitzpatrick, Alex Highsmith. If I'm looking to just rebuild and get picks, but obviously that's not the deal because they traded for DK Metcalf and they're looking to, I guess, give TJ a new deal. But if I'm TJ Watt, why would I want a new contract when you got rid of one of the best offensive players to where your offense is back at square one? All team's going to do is just double DK. That's why you see a lot of people saying, the Steelers are back where they were last year because they are. You have one receiver that people are going to be worried about. One. Unless Roman Wilson has this phenomenal season to where he shuts people up. If we're being honest, I doubt that happens. I mean, people are acting like Roman Wilson was some first round pick. Obviously, the round doesn't matter and the pick doesn't matter. I'm just saying y'all are acting like this guy was the one of the best receivers in his class. And it just to me, I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. And like I said, I feel there's a lot of concern. Just look at it and be held at this point. But other than that, I mean, that's all I really got. I hope I'm wrong on all these things, but I'm just being honest. And that's what people need. They need to just be honest and realize, look, the Steelers made a mistake. Okay? A major one. One that you probably can't even forgive them with. Okay? And I'm gonna ask this question before I get up out of here with this video. If the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl this year or last year, do they trade AJ Brown? A lot of y'all be like, well, Jay, that's a dumb question. Why would you ask that? Why would they trade AJ Brown? Well, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts wasn't really getting along too well, right? But I'm just asking that question. You think they would have traded him? No. You'd be stupid to. So I look at it like until they find the person that can be that franchise quarterback at this point, you should have no hope going forward, bro. I don't care how long you've been a fan. If you watch the full games and the moves that they just made, you shouldn't be looking forward to having excitement because if you watched the games last year and you saw what teams did, they're gonna probably do the similar thing. I'm not talking about them running the ball. Obviously play calling because Arthur Smith is still there. But I'm talking about how teams approach the offense. Yeah, they're gonna double DK for sure. But yeah, that's how I feel about it, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. It's your boy Jimmy. We out. Peace, love, emotional 2025. Y'all be good, man. I'm gone.